What's up, y'all? So, there has been this whole conversation about why should you I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it so we can be clear because I spent the entire day ignoring DMs, ads, reviewing these comments, and trying to stay focused because I got ish to do. You know what I'm saying? So I couldn't get lost in the shenanigans of the comment section of Blacker Pockets to talk about the post that says, and I quote, I bought a 50K home, I'm sorry. You bought a 50K home in the hood. You rehabbed it and are selling it for 3 to 4 times that amount in the hood. They couldn't afford the home at 50K, so they can magically afford it at 4 times more. How is that helping anybody that lives there? All right, so can y'all like wave at me, give me a hand, something. Let me know if you saw this post, right? You guys saw the post. It was all over Twitter. My peeps at Blacker Pockets reposted it. So let me know. I need a wave or something. Give me something in the chat. Give me some hearts. Let me know that y'all saw this. They said you bought a 50K home in the hood. You rehabbed it and are selling it for 3 to 4 times that amount in the hood. They couldn't afford the home at 50K, so they can magically afford it at 4 times more. How is that helping anybody who lives there? All right. Okay. All right. So we saw it. So I saw it and laughed for 30 minutes. I have been purposely ignoring this post and the comments so that we could just do it as a family. So y'all already know our next gen accelerate, you know what I mean? That's our family, our next gen family. We usually do these conversations behind closed doors, but I felt like it was time to go back to the days when I used to go live and act up. It's a little bit late. So it was about that time to go live, and let's talk about it. So we are always having conversations around community development versus gentrification, as people like to talk about it, right? So let's first and foremost have a conversation. Yes, I'm about to get spicy, L. You already know. So let's first and foremost have a conversation about gentrification, right? What is gentrification? By definition, if you go ahead and do your Googles, gentrification means raising the standards of a community to middle class standards, right? Changing a community to middle class standards. The issue that people talk about, get spicy then. The issue that people talk about when they talk about gentrification, and they're saying in this negative connotation, is the negative impacts of gentrification, which is around how people of and from the community are negatively impacted by this growth and this development, right? If you're raising a neighborhood to middle class standards without giving folks, the historical residents of those neighborhoods, to also raise their income to middle class standards or create opportunities for people to stay and afford to stay, then that becomes the negative impacts of gentrification when you talk about displacement and things of that nature. Cool. We got that, right? We understand that. The problem with this post, from my perspective, is multifold, right? So let's talk about why people cannot, let's talk about the fact that people can't afford the home at 50K. But let's talk about one, from our perspective, right? What we do. So we'll go on. She really mad at me. I'll buy a house for $10,000 and sell it for over $200,000. But what I'm also doing is working with the community association. I'm working with the city. I'm working with the state. I'm working with the neighbors to make sure that they are taking advantage of these tax credits that are out there, because a lot of times homeowners, people who owned homes in these neighborhoods that can no longer afford to own, a lot of times has something to do with the fact that the taxes increase because the property values are increasing. And so people cannot afford those taxes increasing, especially if they're on fixed income or something like that. And so if you're used to your taxes being $100 a year and the property values are increasing from $50,000 to $200,000. Now instead of paying a few $100s a year, you're paying a few $1,000s a year, right? So remember, when you're paying your mortgage each month, it's PITI. Somebody put in the chat what PITI is. You're paying each month PITI. And so when you're paying your mortgage each month, PITI, and the T goes up, so does your monthly payments, right? And so if you're used to paying that mortgage payment, your mortgage payment is $800 per month, and your taxes increase from a few $100s to a few $1,000s, your monthly payment increases. Again, affordability, right? And so what we do when we're going into these neighborhoods and buying $10,000 houses and happily selling them for $200,000 is making sure, thank you, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance for PITI. We are also making sure that the other owners in the neighborhood are taking advantage of things like the homestead tax credit, where they're able to keep their taxes low. They're able to lock their taxes in at a lower rate and not have that increase go from a few $100s a year to a few $1,000s a year immediately, right? When you do that reassessment, your city, your municipality is going to assess the value of your home and then tax you based on that assessment. If the value of the properties are going up, your assessment will go up, and therefore so will your taxes. So one thing that we do, we're making sure that people's taxes stay low, and so that they're not getting those negative impacts. We're making sure that in neighborhoods that we partner with, because it is a partnership, that we're doing so alongside nonprofits, people that are doing affordable housing developments. We might do some affordable housing. We might make sure there's also the homestead credit for renters, so that if your rent increases because your landlord charges you more because the taxes increase, so their expenses are going up, so your rent has to go up. There's a homestead renters tax credit for that, to give people the opportunity to stay. So you have to know and understand first and foremost, rather than saying, let's not have growth, let's talk about being educated about how we can make sure that everyone's able to take advantage of the opportunities of development, number one. And number two, that people are able to build wealth. So let's talk about the number one method to building wealth is through home ownership, right? Now, we have a lot of us in these neighborhoods, in these same neighborhoods that we're talking about $50,000 homes. The reason they're $50,000 is because a lot of them were subject to redlining for so long that the property value didn't increase at the same level as their neighboring areas. You have a $50,000 house a few neighborhoods away from houses they're selling for multi-million dollars. Why? Typically because there were things like redlining that kept those properties from increasing in value, which then meant that we were not able to build wealth. So why should we hold back our neighborhoods from a value perspective, right? If we're able to renovate a house that's $50,000 and sell for $200,000, that means that there was room in the market. That means this space was being held down. And so we're forcing appreciation through renovation, which means that it had been disinvested or not invested in. So we are putting into this neighborhood what has been missing over time. And so it's not that we need to not renovate. We need to bring our neighborhoods to where they need to be. But again, make sure we're educated. We're having a full circle discussion. We're not coming in and cashing out. I know some people do. We not. Next gen not, right? We're not coming in and cashing out. We're adding value in the community in which we are investing. Adding value a lot of times does include raising those property values, but also understand Mary Sue that lived up the street that followed, and we told her, make sure that you're doing the homestead tax credit, make sure that you're taking advantage of X, Y, and Z so your taxes are staying low. Mary Sue gets to ride whatever wave my boat starts. You understand? So Mary Sue now has a property that used to be worth $50,000 because I did the work. Now her property is worth $150,000 and she ain't did with nothing, right? So understand that by coming into these neighborhoods and being community centered, right? So adding value in the community in which you invest. We talk about community first investment often, all the time, right? That's what we mean, is we're not just coming in and cashing out. We are adding value to the community. Hashtag next gen takeover. That's what we doing. So we're adding value in the communities in which we invest. And so you have to understand that when we're talking about community development, we're talking about real estate, and we're talking about renovating properties, we have to make sure that we're not holding ourselves back, trying to be so small-minded, being so scarce in our thought process, not understanding that there is so much opportunity out here, so much information to take advantage of the changes that are happening. And then as investors and as developers, I do agree that we do need to be thoughtful about how we invest in neighborhoods, how we come in and make sure that we are in fact adding value rather than just cashing out. There is so many ways to make this a win-win-win, right? A win for you, right? You got to make sure that you're solvent enough to continue to do it, right? You want to make sure you're making money. Best believe Khalil and I have absolutely taken losses on properties to make sure we're adding value in communities. Let's be very clear on that. So that happens. But at the end of the day, you have to make sure that you have enough money to continue on and you're doing whatever it is that you need to do personally. So there's nothing wrong with making money in real estate. Let's be very clear. But you also want to make sure that you are in fact adding value in the communities in which you invest. And that's what we focus on. That's what we share, what we teach. When we talk about hashtag next gen takeover, it's not just about us building wealth as you know, within our group, but it's also about what we're able to do and the value we're able to add into Baltimore and into our tenants. So that 3 win-win, that's win for you, it's a win for your buyer or your tenant, and it's a win for the city. And for us, that city's Baltimore. So we be more all day. So what we're doing, and when you talk about vacants and increasing property values and doing all those things, Baltimore's always part of that conversation because there is so much opportunity. And so we have to be comfortable and understand that growth and progress and making money is not a bad thing. Like, we have to get beyond that conversation. We can't keep thinking that making money and having opportunity, like you don't have to choose to be broke. Like, you don't. We don't have to be broke. We don't have to struggle. We talk about you thrive instead of survive. Like, let's do that. Let's do that. Because at the end of the day, we all know 2020 has been like a whirlwind. And if it hasn't opened up your mind to the fact that you need to be in the driver's seat for your opportunity because you literally don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, you have to make sure that you're not choosing to be out here being broke. And that's not just about your money. That's about your mindset, right? You can't even think beyond, oh, the property's 4 times the price. Yeah, well, I spent $150,000 to do it. Like, what do you want from me, right? Do you want these vacant? You want these houses boarded up or not? And it's so critical that we start having this conversation and challenging each other, that we are not allowing ourselves to not only have a broke mindset, but to share it. Sis, you tweeted this. You didn't proofread? Come on. Come on. No. These properties have been held back for so long due to things like redlining. We're segregating neighborhoods. We're not able to push things forward. We can't do this. We can't do that. Well, now's our time to change that, right? Now's our time to be able to come in, change the narrative, make things happen. Bando Spice, I'm tired of you, L. And change the narrative and push our communities forward. Forward motion. We are moving forward, right? And honestly, I'm going to be completely clear. This is why I wasn't in the comments, because you can't take everybody with you. And so you also have to be comfortable with that. Those who are down are down. You already know, next gen takeover, period. A lot of y'all are Charm City buyers family. So y'all already knew I was about to come in here and go off. But what's really important is that we are not being so limited in how we think about things. And we're out here eat the rich and all this other stuff. Don't eat the rich, be the rich. You know what I'm saying? Get your own coins so that you can add value in these communities, and you can be the change that you want to see. You can fund nonprofits to support, kids that are around the way. You can buy a car wash for the squeegee boys to go ahead and take over and do all the squeegeeing they want without people bothering them all the doggone time, right? This is what it's about. We don't have to fight progress. Be part of it and help make sure that it looks the way you want it to look like. That's what we're doing. We knew that we were trying to really push Baltimore forward. We're buying all this stuff. We're doing all these things. But at the end of the day, we can only go so far, he and I, in what we're trying to do in the framework in which we're trying to do it. And so what do? Next gen takeover. Make sure there's a hell of a lot more people doing the same thing with the same thought process and mindset, right? We have to change the narrative. Not only the narrative that we use when we're talking about our own communities, right? And everybody always wants to, graduate and move away and all those types of things. We need to start coming back. We need to start coming back to our neighborhoods and be part of that change that we want to see. We have to make sure that, we're being thoughtful about what we're putting out there, that we're not limiting ourselves like we limit our communities. There's opportunity here. There's so many times where we think about our own neighborhoods and we're like, oh, we can't, that's, I can't go back there. That's terrible. Or this is that. No, like let's get in. Bobby on the corner. Talk to Bobby, right? We can absolutely transform how we think about how we move and what our neighborhoods look like. We deserve fresh food and to walk our dogs and to ride our bikes in lanes specifically designated for us. Okay, we don't have to wait for anybody else to come in and do that and claim that and enjoy that. No, let's be in here. Let's take action. Let's make things happen. Let's shift our mindset, how we think about things, and make sure that we're positioning not only ourselves, but the next generation of our communities to be able to have better and do better and make that happen. I thought I was going to go through the comments while I was on this live, but you know what? I'm still not going through them because honestly, I ain't got time. I ain't got time for the foolishness. I don't have time to go back and forth with people that are just confused, right? What's important is that, because I do spend a lot of time like enlighten, let's talk about it. Let's really open up your mind. But I know I got friends in there. I see some names in there that I know they were already dropping the gems. They don't need my help. I need my sanity. But I did want to have that conversation, is that, we have to stop limiting our opportunity. We have to stop limiting and putting ceilings on our own progress. You have to break that down. Stop listening to what people have told you, what you could do, what you can't do, all that kind of stuff. We're done with it. Limits do not exist. We thrive. We do not survive. These neighborhoods deserve to have the growth of value because we have value. And that's it. That's all. That is it. That is all. That is what we're doing. Absolutely. Let's not move out of our neighborhoods. If we come back to our neighborhoods and we're adding value, Kula's born and raised in Baltimore, right? If we were all right here, the potential mayor of Baltimore, Brandon Scott, born and raised in Park Heights and will now become the mayor and ain't too much older than we are, right? Being part of and within your community and adding value is everything. We got to shift the mindset, change the narrative. We thrive. We don't survive. And we out here. We not about to eat the rich. We about to be the rich. Buy back the block. #NextGenTakeover. Boom. I'm out. Bye, guys.